inside one of the most comforting stories ever given to us. The story of a house built on solid rock. A house that holds through every kind of storm. A house that is warm inside and deeply, permanently safe. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to stay awake. You only have to be here and let the story come to you. May the peace that is deeper than understanding come quietly into this room tonight and settle over every thought that is still moving. May every part of your body that has been holding something today be allowed now to let it go. And may you feel, before this hour is done, that you are resting on ground that will not shift, that you are held, and that you are safe, and that nothing is required of you tonight but rest. If this space brings you peace and rest in the arms of God, please subscribe to Sleepy Angels so that these gentle stories are always close whenever you need them. There is a place in the ancient stories, a place in the words that have been read beside beds and whispered over the weary for thousands of years, where a man sits on the side of a hill and tells a story about two builders. It is one of the simplest stories ever told, and it is one of the most comforting. It is a story about what happens when the rain comes, and the wind moves through the valley, and the water rises, and about the kind of ground that holds, no matter what. We are going to spend this hour inside that story. We are going to move slowly through it, the way you move through a house you know well, room by room, without hurrying, noticing small things. And by the time this hour is done, you will have rested inside one of the most stable, most sheltering images ever given to a human heart. The house on the rock. Let's begin. But first, before we come to the house, we need to rest somewhere else for a little while. There is another story, older, quieter, about a man named Elijah, and it begins not with conflict or noise, but with a single image, a man lying down beneath a tree. The evening had grown cool. The desert does that. It holds its heat through the long afternoon. And then, as the light changes, the air changes with it, and something gentle comes in from the far edge of the sky. Elijah had walked a long way. He had carried a great deal, and there came a moment, the way these moments always come quietly, without announcement, when his body simply said, "Enough." And he listened. He found a tree. It was not a large tree, not the kind of tree that offers deep shade or impressive shelter. It was a small, quiet tree, the kind that grows in dry places, with small leaves that catch the light and turn it silver. And beneath that tree, on the warm ground, Elijah lay down. He folded his cloak beneath his head. He closed his eyes. The ground beneath him was still warm from the day's sun. Not hot, just warm. The way good ground is at the end of a long afternoon. The kind of warmth that comes up through the earth slowly, patiently, as though the ground has been keeping it for exactly this moment. Elijah felt it through the fabric of his cloak, through the weight of his tired body, all the way into his bones, and the warmth asked nothing of him. It did not say, "Rest if you've earned it." It did not say, "Rest if you deserve it." It simply rose, the way warmth always rises, and met him where he was. Above him, the small leaves of the tree moved very slightly in a breeze that had just arrived from somewhere cool and far away. They made almost no sound, only the softest whisper, the kind of sound that is more feeling than hearing. And Elijah slept. He is held by the ground, the way all weary things are held, without condition, without asking why. The night sky above the tree was wide and very clear. The desert is good for that. In the open places, without walls or rooftops to interrupt the view. The stars appear in such numbers that they stop feeling like individual things and begin to feel more like a texture, a soft, deep, living texture of light stretched from one edge of the world to the other. Elijah did not see it. He was sleeping, but it was there, all of it, above him and around him, holding the night gently, the way the night always holds the things that rest within it. And then, at some point in the quiet, not suddenly, not with noise, only gently, there was a presence beside the tree, not startling, not loud, only there, the way warmth arrives in a cold room before you think to name it. Something settled beside the sleeping man, with the patience of someone who had all the time that existed, and a touch came very soft, the kind of touch that is more intention than pressure, on a tired shoulder. Elijah, to be tended while sleeping is a kindness older than words. Elijah's eyes opened slowly. The air was still cool, and the stars were still above him. And beside him, close enough to be undeniable, there was something warm, not a figure of fire or light, or anything that required him to be afraid. Only warmth, and beside the warmth, two things. Bread still warm from some invisible hearth, the kind of bread that smells like grain, and something sweeter, the kind that asks to be eaten slowly and held in the mouth a moment before it goes down. And water, cool and clear, and more refreshing than Elijah remembered water being able to be. He sat up slowly. He ate the bread in the quiet of the early morning, before the stars had finished their work. He drank the water with both hands, and then he sat for a little while, not thinking, not planning, not rehearsing anything, only sitting, full and warm and still. The ground beneath him was still warm. The tree above him still caught the last of the night breeze. And somewhere in the east, the sky was beginning to change, very slowly, from black to the deep blue that comes before morning, to be provided for without having asked, is one of the tenderest things. This is where we leave Elijah for now, sitting beneath his tree in the early morning, full and still, and held by a kindness he did not fully understand. He did not need to understand it. It was enough to receive it. And this is one of the things the oldest stories teach us, again and again, in their gentle way, that rest is not a reward. It is a gift that being cared for is not something to be earned by effort or worthiness. It is something given to the weary in the quiet, without conditions. And with that gift held gently in mind, we begin to move slowly, without hurry, toward another kind of shelter. A house on a rock. Imagine, if you can, without effort, without straining toward it, a long, sloping hillside in the late afternoon. The light is golden and warm, the way late afternoon light always is, and it falls across the grass at an angle that makes everything look softer than it is. At the top of the hill, or near the top, there is a shape. A house. It is not large. It is not trying to be impressive. It is simply there, solid and quiet against the sky. The way things are that have been placed carefully and built to stay. Its walls are thick. You can tell that from a distance. The way you can tell certain things from a distance. Not by any single detail, but by the overall impression of the thing, the way it sits on the hillside, heavy, planted, sure of itself, without needing to announce it. And in one window, as the afternoon light begins to soften toward evening, there is a warm amber glow, a lamp left burning, a small and ordinary and deeply comforting sign that someone is home. Some things are built to last, and from far away, you can already tell which ones they are. Let's walk up toward it. Slowly. There is no hurry. The path to the house winds through low grass that has been made soft by recent rain. And the air smells of that rain, clean and green, a little cool at the edges. The stones along the path are old and set deep into the earth, and your feet find them easily in the fading light. Ahead, the house grows larger as you approach it, not overwhelming, only solid, more solid with every step. The walls are made of stone, pale gray and warm brown, fitted together with the careful patience of a builder who knew that what goes up quickly does not always stay. The mortar between the stones is old and certain. Running your hand along the outer wall, you would feel only density, no movement, no give, only stone, and behind the stone, more stone, and behind that, the beginning of the ground itself. What is built carefully holds quietly. Long after the building is done, there is a gate in the low stone wall around the house. It opens easily, the way a gate opens when someone has maintained it with care. No resistance, no protest, only the soft movement of something well made, doing what it was made to do. Inside the wall, there is a small garden. It is not a formal garden, not arranged for show, only a quiet, living space beside the house, where things have been planted and have grown and have been allowed to be themselves. Herbs along the low edge, a climbing plant on the wall, its leaves dark green and still wet from the afternoon's rain. The smell of the garden is layered and gentle, earth and green things, and the memory of rain all together. You stand in it for a moment. There is no need to move quickly. The light is soft and the air is still. garden asks nothing of you. Beyond the garden, the hillside continues downward. And below the hillside, further than you need to see tonight, the world continues. But up here, inside this wall, there is only the house and the garden and the quiet. The door of the house is heavy wood, old and smooth, warm to the touch. It opens inward, the way good doors open, slowly and solidly, admitting you without ceremony. Inside, the air is different, warmer, quieter. The way inside air is always quieter, even when there is no sound outside to compare it to. You step across the threshold. The floor beneath you is stone, worn smooth by years of use, and warm from the fire that has been burning in the hearth across the room. The ceiling is low. The room is simple. There is the fire and a table and a chair near the window, and the amber lamp you saw from the hillside, burning steadily on a shelf near the door, its flame very still in the warm air. There is something deeply restful about being inside when the world outside is changing. The chair near the window faces out toward the garden, and beyond the garden, the slope of the hill. From here, through the small glass of the window, you can watch the last of the evening light move across the hillside. It moves slowly, the way all beautiful things move when you are not in a hurry to see them go. The grass turns from gold to a soft amber, and then to a quiet gray as the light descends. The garden plants fold themselves slightly inward, the way plants do in the evening, conserving their warmth and their moisture against the coming night. And on the far horizon, gathering without urgency, the clouds are building, not threatening, only present, the kind of clouds that carry rain quietly and arrive without drama, and pass without leaving anything broken. You watch them from the window, from inside the warm room, beside the burning fire, and you are not afraid of them, because the house is already holding. The walls of this place were built to hold, and they are holding. The first sound of rain comes softly, one drop on the stone outside the door, then two, then several, then the beginning of a rhythm. The rain finds the roof of the house, the way rain always finds roofs. Inevitably, gently, with a sound that is, in the right circumstances, one of the most comforting sounds in the entire world. The soft percussion of rain on old stone and old tiles, irregular at first, then finding its pattern. Not a storm sound, only a rain sound. The kind of rain that asks nothing of you. Inside the house, the fire does not flicker. The lamp does not waver. The walls do not move. The rain falls on the roof, and the roof receives it and passes it off. And the house simply continues to be what it has always been. Warm, still, dry, rain on a roof is one of the oldest sounds of safety there is. You sit near the fire now. The chair is simple and deep, the kind of chair that receives the weight of a body without asking anything about that weight. You settle into it slowly. Your shoulders lower. Your hands rest. The fire is burning at that stage, where the logs have given most of what they have, and the coals beneath are beginning to glow, not hot and leaping, but low and steady, an orange warmth that radiates without effort. The sound of the rain continues above you. It has found its rhythm now, steady and soft and patient, and the house holds it all. The weight of the rain on the roof, the weight of the fire in the hearth, the weight of a tired body in a chair, all of it held, all of it settled. What is safe does not announce itself. It simply continues to be safe. This house was built by someone who understood something important. Not everything, not all the answers, only this one thing, that the ground beneath a house matters more than the house itself, that what looks strong from the outside is only as strong as what it rests on. And so, before the walls were raised, before the stones were fitted, before the door was hung and the hearth was built, this builder went down, deeper than anyone watching might have thought necessary, past the soft upper earth, past the looser soil of the hillside, down through the layers of the ground that shift and settle and change, down to the rock, the solid, ancient, unchanging rock. And there, at that depth, the foundation was laid, stone on stone, placed with patience, set not for speed, but for permanence. Beneath every safe place, there is something that has never moved, far below where you are sitting now, below the worn stone floor, below the earth of the garden, below the hillside itself. The rock continues. It does not know what weather is. It does not register the rain that falls tonight, or the wind that moves through the valley below, or the seasons that have come and gone above it for longer than anyone has kept count. It simply is, the way deep things simply are, and it holds this house. It holds the floor beneath your feet. It holds the chair and the fire and the lamp in the window and the warm air and the sound of rain on the roof. All of it held by something that has never once considered letting go. The ground beneath a life built well is deeper than anyone ever needs to measure. The rain outside is settling now into something steady and long. This is not a passing shower. This is the kind of rain that comes to stay for a while, patient and thorough, moving across the hills in curtains, making the air smell clean and the earth smell deep. Outside the window, the last of the light has gone. The garden is dark. The hillside is dark. The world beyond the wall has become simply a sound. Rain and the distant movement of wind through the valley, and the occasional soft rush of water finding its way down along the stone. And the house holds all of it at a gentle distance. The rain is out there. You are in here. The fire is warm. The walls are thick. The foundation is deep. There is nothing that needs to be different about this moment. To be inside when the rain is outside is one of the oldest comforts the world has ever offered. The man who built this house knew something about storms, not because he had been given a promise that storms would not come. He had not been promised that. The storms came. They always do. But he had been shown something more useful than a promise of no rain. He had been shown where the rock was, and he had built there. And so when the rain came, and the wind moved down through the hills, and the water rose along the low edges of the valley, this house simply stood, not because it was louder than the storm, not because it was stronger in the way that storms are strong, only because it was set on something that did not move. The storm passed around it, over it, below it, and the house stood. The fire inside burned on. The lamp in the window stayed lit. Whatever the storm moved through, the foundation did not move. Let's leave the storm at the edges of the story, where it belongs. It is not the important part. The important part is the inside of the house. The warmth, the stillness, the quiet knowledge that everything here is held. And from the inside of the house, the storm is really only a sound on the roof. Rain on stone, a rhythm, almost musical, almost restful, almost exactly like the sound you hear when you are on the edge of sleep. And the world outside is doing what the world does. And you are inside, where you have always been going. Rest is not something to be earned tonight. It is already here, waiting. There is a door at the back of the main room. It leads down a short hallway, narrow and warm, where the firelight from the main room reaches only faintly, and the sound of rain becomes softer still. At the end of the hallway, another room, smaller, even warmer, the back room. This is the quietest room in the house. The walls here are the thickest, not because the builder planned it exactly this way, but because the back of the house was built into the hillside, the stone of the house merging almost seamlessly with the stone of the hill behind it, and the hill behind the stone, and the rock behind the hill, layers upon layers of solid, patient material, all of it between you and the weather. The deepest room in a safe house is the quietest place in the world. In this back room, there's a small fireplace, not the main hearth, only a small personal fire. It has been burning long enough that the logs are mostly gone now, and what remains is a bed of coals, deep orange and slow glowing, radiating their heat without any effort at all. The way things that have burned long enough radiate without any further burning needed. The light in this room is low. It is the color of amber, of old honey, of the warm underside of autumn leaves. It moves a little. The coal glow is not perfectly still, but it moves slowly, without urgency, in long, soft pulses that are more like breathing than flickering. And in the corner of this room, against the wall that meets the hillside, there is a bed. The blanket on it is thick and heavy in the best way. The kind of weight that is not oppressive, only present. The kind of weight that tells you clearly and softly that you are inside something, that the boundary between yourself and the cold air outside is being held. To be warm and still and covered is a kind of prayer answered without words. The almost nothing, it reaches through the thickness of the walls as something closer to a feeling than a sound, a gentle pressure on the outside of everything, a reminder that the world is continuing as it always does, while you are still and held and safe in here. You don't need to track the rain. You don't need to account for it. The house is doing that. The walls are doing that. The foundation, far below, is doing what it has always done. The rain falls, and the roof holds, and nothing more is asked of anyone. Let's step outside the house for a moment, not into the storm, only into the memory of what surrounds it. Down the hill, past the garden wall, past the low grass that the rain has now fully soaked, there is a field, wide and quiet, in the light of this night, with the clouds still overhead. The field is dark, but it is a comfortable dark, the kind of dark that is simply the absence of light rather than the presence of anything unsettling. The grass in the field is long and soft, and the rain has pressed it down slightly, and it smells. The entire field smells of rain and earth and green growing things. At the far edge of the field, where the trees begin, the field narrows into a path, and along the edge of that path, a stream, not rushing. The stream at the edge of this field has never rushed. It moves in the way that water moves when it has all the time in the world and no particular urgency. Slowly, with a murmur that is more like silence than sound, water that moves gently is doing everything it was made to do. Along the far edge of the field, near the tree line, there is a shepherd, not a hurried figure, not one moving with the sharpness of someone managing a crisis, only present, moving along the field's edge with the slow, patient rhythm of someone who has made this walk many times and knows it well and loves it. The shepherd's pace is unhurried, watchful, yes, but not tense. This is not the watchfulness of fear. It is the watchfulness of love, of a presence that simply does not leave. Behind the shepherd, settled into the grass, folded into themselves the way sleeping animals fold, the flock rests. Their breathing is low and slow. Their wool is damp from the evening air. They are not anxious. They do not worry about the shepherd's absence, because the shepherd is not absent. They only rest, and the shepherd walks, and the field is quiet, and the stream murmurs its nearly silent murmur along the edge of everything. To be watched over by someone who never tires is a form of grace. The oldest song ever written about a shepherd describes what it feels like to be one of these resting ones. And it begins with the simplest, most comforting premise imaginable. There is a shepherd who leads to green fields, who brings to still water, who walks beside through every kind of passage. The song says, he makes me lie down, not asks, not hopes, makes, with the same tenderness that a mother arranges a child who has fallen asleep on a long journey, moved from car to bed, never waking. The shepherd leads to the place of rest and makes it possible to lie down, to let go, to be fully, completely, trustingly still. Rest comes naturally to those who are led to the right place. The green field, the still water, the path that moves through a quiet valley, dim and cool, where the shepherd's presence is the only light needed. The song says, "Thou art with me, not thou art near, not thou wilt arrive." With, present, already there, in the valley that feels narrow, in the moment that feels uncertain, in the tiredness that feels like it might not lift. The shepherd is already with, has been with, will be with. This is not a hope. It is a report, a calm, unhurried statement of what has always been true. Something quiet and patient has always been beside this moment. There is something the shepherd's song says about being restored. He restores my soul, it says, not repairs it, not fixes it, restores, the way something is restored that was once whole and has become worn, given back its original quality, its original aliveness. The restoration doesn't happen in a moment of effort or drama. It happens in the lying down, in the green field, in the still water, in the valley where nothing is required. The soul, tired and stretched and carrying what souls carry, comes to this place and is slowly, gently given back to itself, breathed back into wholeness, not forced, only allowed. The way water finds its level, the way breath deepens when nothing is constricting it. The soul, in the presence of a shepherd who knows what it needs, simply returns to what it always was. The body knows how to rest. It only needs permission. We are going to leave the field now and go back up the hill, back toward the house, back through the garden, where the rain has softened to something barely there, more a mist than a rain now, fine and cool against the face, not unpleasant. The garden smells extraordinary after the rain. There is no other way to say it. Wet earth, the particular sharpness of herbs when the rain has touched them, the deep green heaviness of the climbing plant on the wall, every leaf holding its small pool of water, the pools catching whatever faint light exists. You pass through the garden without hurrying. The gate swings closed behind you with the softest sound, and you are back inside the wall, back in the garden's quiet, back with the house above you, still warm, still lit, still holding. The light in the window says, without words, that you are expected and welcome. Let's go back inside, back through the heavy door, back into the warmth of the entrance room, where the main hearth is burning down, now toward coals. The room has gotten a little quieter since we left. The last log settled an hour ago, and the coals are doing what coals do, not burning, exactly, only glowing, releasing their warmth in long, slow, effortless waves. The lamp on the shelf near the door is still burning. Its flame stands perfectly still in the warm, windless air of the room, not swaying, not reaching, just burning, straight and quiet, the way a flame burns when nothing disturbs it. You pass through the main room. Your hand trails along the stone of the wall. It is warm, warmer than you expected. The wall has been absorbing the fire's heat for hours, and now it is giving it back, slowly, patiently, without asking anything in return. You push open the door at the back and move down the short hallway. In the dark, the walls are just as solid as they were in the light. The back room is exactly as you left it. The coal fire glowing, the amber light moving slowly across the low ceiling, the blanket on the bed heavy and warm from having spent the evening near the warmth. You sit on the edge of the bed, and for a moment you just sit. You don't need to lie down quite yet. You only sit and notice the warmth of the coals, the weight of the blanket against your hands, the sound of the rain outside, truly almost nothing now. A whisper of a sound, as though the rain knows that the night has become very quiet and is adjusting itself accordingly. The walls around you, the stone above you, the rock far below, all of it still, all of it holding. Deep things do not need to announce their depth. They only need to hold. There is one more story to hold before we settle fully into the night. And it is not a long story. It is a brief one, but it is full. It is the story of a boat on the water, in the hour before a storm, and the story of what happened after. The water before the storm was calm, dark and calm, the way water is in the evening, when the surface reflects the last color in the sky, and everything is very still. The boat moved with it, not cutting through the water, only carried by it, rising and falling in long, slow swells, so gentle they were barely swells at all, more like breathing, the water breathing, and the boat breathing with it. Inside the boat, the disciples were at ease, their shoulders low, their hands still. The water made its soft sound against the wooden hull, the rhythmic, intimate sound of movement on water. And at the back of the boat, Jesus was resting, not anxious, not watching the sky with concern, resting fully. The boat was held by the water the whole time, even before anyone knew to be grateful. The wind came quietly at first, a change in the air, a shift in the surface of the water. The disciples noticed it, the way people notice weather gradually, then all at once, and the water rose, and the wind moved, and the night grew uncertain, and they were afraid, not ashamed for being afraid, only afraid, the way people are when the ground beneath them seems to move, and they cannot find the stillness they depended on. They went to Jesus. They found him still resting, and they reached for him, and he woke. He woke, and he looked at the water and the wind, and he spoke to it, not in a shout, only in a voice that knew what it was doing. A clear, steady word, the kind of voice that has always known what it is doing. And the wind heard it, and the wind quieted, and the water heard it, and the water laid itself flat. Peace, when it arrives all at once, feels like something that was always supposed to be there. came after the storm quieted was the most important part of the story. Not the calming itself, the quiet that followed the calming, the absolute, total, glassy stillness of the water, the way sound disappeared, not gradually, completely, as though it had never been there. The surface of the water after the storm was like nothing the disciples had ever seen. It was flat in a way that open water is almost never flat. Perfectly, utterly still, as though every molecule of it had agreed, all at once, to simply be. The reflections in it were clear. The stars, which had appeared without announcement from behind the passing clouds, were reflected in the surface so crisply that looking down felt like looking up. The whole sky, above and below, filled with that quiet, unmoving, patient light. After the storm passes, the quiet that arrives is its own kind of miracle. The boat rocked once, very slowly, a single, gentle sway, not from wind or wave, only from the boat itself, remembering how to be still, settling into the new quiet the way a body settles when it has been holding tension, and finally releases it. One slow rock, and then stillness, and then the disciples breathed out, all of them at once or nearly at once, let out the breath they had not known they were holding. Their shoulders came down, their hands unclenched, and the night, which had been loud and uncertain, was now simply the most quiet night any of them had ever been inside. After everything passes through, what remains is often clearer and more beautiful than before. The water stayed still for a long time. The boat rested on it without effort, held by the surface in the way that all boats are held, trusted to the water, to its nature, to its willingness to bear what is placed upon it. And Jesus was with them, present, quiet. The storm had passed, and he was still there, and the water was still, and the stars were reflected in it, and nothing more was asked of anyone on that boat for the rest of that night. They floated, they rested, the water carried them. The ground has never needed permission to hold what is placed upon it. We come back now, gently, to the house on the rock. It is late in the night. The rain has stopped, or nearly stopped. Only the last few drops still finding their way from the edges of the roof to the stones below. The sound they make is very small, almost nothing, almost the sound of silence, deciding to speak for just one more moment before it settles in completely. Outside, the garden is dark and still. The plants have folded themselves closed for the night, conserving their warmth and their wetness, resting in the way that all growing things rest, not passive, but actively engaged in the quiet work of being alive in stillness. The wet earth smells clean. The air above the garden is cool and very clear, and the stars, the same ones reflected in the water of the storm-stilled sea, are beginning to appear here too, through the thinning clouds, one at a time, then in groups, then in that great spread of quiet light that asks nothing of you and gives so much. Everything that is meant to grow is resting now, and it is resting well. From outside, if you were to look at this house tonight, standing at the gate of the garden wall, looking up the slope at the shape of it against the night sky, you would see something unremarkable. A dark shape on a hillside, walls of pale stone, gray in the moonlight, a small garden, dark and still, and in one window at the back of the house, a faint and barely there glow, the last of the coal fire, too dim now to be seen as light, only as the very faintest suggestion of warmth behind the glass. This house makes no noise. It does not announce itself. It does not need to. It has been here a long time. It will be here when morning comes. And deep beneath it, the rock holds in its permanent, unhurrying, absolute stillness. The same as it has always been, the same as it will be, knowing nothing of weather, and needing nothing of permission, and holding everything placed upon it simply because that is its nature. From outside, a house at peace looks like something that has always been there and always will be. Inside the back room, the coal fire has burned down further still. It is mostly ash now, with a few remaining coals glowing deep in the center of the hearth. Orange and slow and patient, the kind of warmth that doesn't need to be fed any more tonight. It will hold until morning. It knows how. The blanket is pulled close now. Its weight is present and warm. That particular weight that is the body's best companion in the night. The weight that says without words, you are covered. You are enclosed. There is nothing between you and sleep but this warmth and this stillness and the very soft sound of almost nothing outside. A body that is warm and still and covered is doing sacred work. The breathing in this room has grown slow, long in, long out, the kind of breathing that happens when a body has finally remembered what it has always known how to do. The mind grows quiet, not forced quiet, only the natural quiet that comes when the body is warm and the walls are thick and the foundation below is solid, and there is simply nothing left that requires a thought. The thoughts, if they come, pass through like clouds on a cleared sky, present for a moment, moving on without being asked to. There is no need to hold them. There is no need to let them go. They move the way all passing things move, and the quiet remains beneath them. Every exhale is a small act of trust, and trust is enough. Elijah, beneath his juniper tree, slept like this, fully, deeply, without accounting for himself. The ground held him, the night held him, and something else, something that brought bread and water, and the softest of touches, held him too. He did not earn that holding. He did not arrange for it. He only lay down, and the holding was already there. This is the place where weary things are allowed to lay themselves down. The sheep in the far field are still. The stream at the field's edge has grown even quieter, barely moving now, barely murmuring, the water glassy and soft. The shepherd has settled beneath the tree at the field's edge, back against the bark, still present, still aware, still unhurried. The shepherd does not sleep, because the flock does not go uncovered. But there is nothing restless in this watching, only the warm, patient presence of a love that does not tire. And in the field, the flock breathes, long and slow and long. The one who watches over does not need to move to be fully present. Through the small window of the back room, a piece of sky is visible. The storm clouds have moved on. Not dramatically, they only drifted, the way clouds always drift, west, and then further west, unhurried, their work complete, and behind them, the sky is a deep and particular blue, the blue that exists only after rain, clean and cool and very still. One star has appeared in that piece of sky, framed by the window. Only one for now. It holds there without moving, without blinking, a small, steady point of light in a cleared and quiet sky. After everything passes through, what remains is often clearer and more beautiful than before. The walls of this room are not going anywhere. The floor beneath the bed is solid, and beneath the floor, the stone of the house, and beneath the stone, the earth, and beneath the earth, the rock, the same rock the builder found and chose and trusted. It is down there still. It has been down there all night. It was down there before the rain came. It will be down there when the morning comes. It does not sleep. It does not shift. It does not require anything from you. It simply holds. There is something beneath you that has never let go of you. Not once, not ever. The coal in the hearth makes the softest sound, a settling, a single small adjustment of ash against ash, and then it is quiet again, quieter than before. The light in the room dims by the smallest degree. The amber becomes a soft, deep rose, then deeper, then nearly gone, only warmth remaining, not visible warmth, only felt warmth, radiating from the coals like a long exhale. When a fire burns down to coals, it is doing its deepest, quietest work. Your breath is slow, in and out, in and out. You are not directing it. It is directing itself. This is what the body has always known how to do. This is what the ground has always known how to do. Hold, without being asked, without being seen, without needing acknowledgement. Being cared for while sleeping is one of the oldest kindnesses in the world. Let the thoughts that remain settle, the way sediment settles in still water, not gone, only resting on the bottom, no longer disturbing the surface, no longer clouding what is clear. The surface is clear. The house is standing. The rock is below. The shepherd is at the field's edge. The bread was warm. The water was cool. The boat is still on the glassy water. The stars are reflected in it. And you are here. All the held things can be set down here. This place was made for that. Outside the garden wall, the wet earth is breathing. The herbs along the low path are still releasing their scent into the night air, green and sharp and clean. The climbing plant on the stone wall holds its pools of rainwater, each one a small, still mirror. The gate is closed, the wall is standing, and beyond the wall, the hillside slopes away into the dark valley below, and the valley is quiet, and the valley holds the night in the way valleys always hold nights, gently, without force, simply by being low and still and open. Even the garden is resting now, and the garden knows how. The house on the rock is quiet. Every room is still. The main hearth has burned to ash. The lamp in the window near the front door has burned low. Its flame still standing, but very small now, very still, giving just enough light to be called light. It will stay lit through the night. That is what lamps do. In houses where someone has thought to leave them burning, and the house itself, the walls and the floor, and the ceiling and the door, all of it is exactly as it was when you arrived, not changed by the night, not changed by the rain, not changed by the weight of weather or the passage of hours, only resting, still, complete. What was built carefully does not forget how to stand. The rock below the house does not know that the night is nearly over. It does not track hours. It does not wait for morning. It only holds. It held this hillside before the house was built on it. It held the rain-soaked earth of the garden tonight. It holds the weight of the stone walls and the worn floor and the coal-warm back room and the heavy blanket and the body beneath it. It holds all of it with the same effortless, ancient permanence, the same permanence it has always had, the same permanence it will always have. Nothing about tonight has tested that. Nothing ever has. The ground beneath a life built well is deeper than anyone ever needs to measure. You are in the back room. The coals are almost gone. The warmth remains. The blanket is exactly as heavy as it needs to be. Your body has grown heavy in the way that sleeping bodies do. A blessed heaviness, the kind that only arrives when everything has been set down, not the heaviness of burden, the heaviness of release, the heaviness of a body that has finally, completely, been allowed to be still. The body knows how to rest. It only needs permission. And somewhere, in the deepest layer of this night, below the coals, below the floor, below the stone, below the hillside, below everything, the rock continues to be what it has always been, not straining, not working, only being, the way solid things simply are, and above it the house, and inside the house the warmth, and inside the warmth the stillness, and inside the stillness rest. There is something beneath you that has never let go of you, not once, not ever. The shepherd is still at the edge of the field. The flock is still breathing. The stream is still moving. The stars are still in the water and in the sky. The bread is still warm. The tree is still gentle above the sleeping man. And the house on the rock is still standing, as it has always stood, as it will always stand. Nothing is required of you in this moment. Nothing is asked. The foundation holds. The walls hold. The warmth holds. There is nothing on the other side of this stillness, but more stillness. And it is good. You can rest now. Everything that needed to hold is holding. The house is standing, and the rock is beneath it, and the shepherd is near, and you are covered, and you are not alone. Let the night carry you the rest of the way. You are safe.